All right, man. Go ahead. Take it away with just
Awesome.
an intro and then we'll roll.
Guys, yeah, cool. Thanks for having me, man. This is impressive seeing all these different tiles popped up on here, Andrew. That's awesome.
These are all owners too. This isn't just, this is owners. So
Good. These are my fucking people here. All right.
absolutely.
My name's Dale. I'm a proud affiliate owner here in Southern Ohio, a small town called Portsmouth, Ohio. I opened up my gym in 2010. Started CrossFitting in 2007 when I was on active duty, and then from there would go on to open up another company inside my gym called Doc Spartan around 2015 with my business partner Renee. We were fortunate enough to land a successful deal on Shark Tank after that. And then around 2018, we developed what we call a community partnership with a behavioral health care center here in town. They're called the Counseling Center. And that led to, however that is now, 6 years. Holy shit. Okay, 6 years. And we do 20 to 25 classes a week across two of their different facilities for their staff and for their clients. And then last year, kind of following Matt and Debbie, we got into a what it's called a community-based correctional facility. It's just another term for fucking prison for anybody else out there. So we do CrossFit classes for them. So we have probably three outside facilities other than the gym that we have. And that's kind of why Andrew reached out to me to kind of let you guys know the blueprint of how we do that.
Yeah. And then
Go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
no, you're good. This is, he's exactly right. That's right. We should reach out to him. We could chat every week and get a lot of tips. But on the business side, what I've been finding, because people do ask me that, like, hey, you see what Dale did? How in the hell does one even start? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you everything. We run a seminar series down here in Portsmouth, and it's called the Portsmouth Method. And it's the same thing. Like, we get reached out to all the time by folks, gym owners who are like, hey, what the hell are you doing and how the hell do you do it? And then on the client side as well. So like people who work in addiction treatment or on the behavioral health side, or even like small state, local governments. So we bring both those people down here, show them what it is that we do, and then kind of help them figure out ways that they can develop partnerships within their local communities. So how we got started, just like anything else successful that happens inside your gym, it probably comes from a member or a member knowing somebody, right? So 2018, a really good friend of mine, he was a member at the gym, and he took on a new role as general counsel for the Counseling Center. The Counseling Center, like I said, is our area's largest nonprofit behavioral health center, which is another term for like addiction treatment centers or rehab. So you hear those terms, they're kind of all interlinked depending on who they are and how they do it. So he said, hey, brother, CrossFit's been instrumental in my own recovery. And now that I got this job, I'd like to figure out a way for you guys to come over and do classes for our clients and our staff. I knew nothing about recovery and or addiction. I knew a lot about CrossFit. And I had worked with a lot of adaptive athletes. I had worked with a lot of veterans just because that was kind of my background. And so I knew, like, okay, well, fuck, name a problem CrossFit doesn't work for. So I knew it would do well there. And then we started. And I kind of took a crash course in learning about addiction and recovery just by simply having conversations. But how it works is after they said, how do you do this? I learned by now, so we're talking 2018. So I kind of knew a little bit about just business in general. And so it was like, okay, well, are we going to charge per class? Or are we going to charge per head? Right. So we just agreed to a flat rate and said, okay, this is going to be our flat rate. And at that point, it's not in our facility, it's at their facility. So they're taking on all the overhead, they're taking on all that stuff, and it would still
Sorry,
free
Dale,
up.
do they take on the overhead of buying equipment for the program?
They had a space, they had zero equipment.
Okay.
And it's kind of come full circle because now when I go out to the prison, there's no equipment there either. So you got to get pretty creative with just looking at your environment and what you can have access to and develop the programming around that. So we had mats is really all we had in the beginning. And so the first workout was like partner up. One person does a shuttle sprint and does one air squat, tags the next person, they do one. And we just went up by one rep for like 12 minutes. And they were fucking crushed at that. So, it doesn't take much. But going back to the business contractual side of it, because I know we only have an hour and I don't want to fucking waste your time. So I just would like, I'm going to tell you what I would have liked to have heard in the very beginning. But it was just like a monthly contract. So we said, hey, each class that you want, it's X amount of dollars per class. So it's a flat fee per class. And at the end of the month, we'll tally up however many classes we did, and we'll send you an invoice, and you've agreed to pay that. And, terms are, net 30 pretty much is pretty standard. And then you get paid within the 30 days after you submit the invoice. So then the question becomes, well, how the fuck do you determine what your rate is? Right. And then my general answer is as much money as you can get is what your rate should be. And at any time, guys, I feel like I'm having a fucking monologue here. So if anybody has a question,
and not only that, you're highlighted, so everyone's only seeing your beautiful face. I get so excited with this because Dale, you and I understand corruption. The money is going to go somewhere.
yes,
The money is going to go somewhere. Why can't it go to owners who are actually going to make a fundamental foundational change?
right.
And if that's the theory in the beginning in your brain, now charge as much as you humanly possibly can. Because it's what else is it going to go to? Buying them shit food and showing them, hey, do this thing and that. It's like, no, that air squat workout, how many lives did you change in that moment?
There's literally a measurement right there.
Yep.
Got it. Let me measure it. Let me eyeball it.
Oh,
So how much did you charge? Was it like
Go down.
$100 an hour?
Say that again. Sorry.
How much did you charge per class?
So right now we're at $100 an hour
Per trainer? Is it just one trainer that goes?
It's several. Like we do 25 classes a week, pretty much.
But I mean, one trainer per class.
Yeah, one trainer per class. And so that actually, let me grab one of the manuals real quick because I already have like a templated out example of how to get your number. So just 1 second.
Yeah, I found the mute button. That's something that for me and Dale and I always chat about these things. Like the tax dollars are going somewhere. So it's like, I know he's helped a couple people do a flat contract too. You helped Dustin do a flat contract, I believe.
Yeah. For us, like I kind of think flat contracts are the way. But so that's another thing is like, yeah, we're talking about behavioral healthcare centers and addiction treatment centers. So you got to understand how your client makes money, right? So our client just happens to be addiction treatment center. You know, if you guys are up there in Michigan, you could be having a corporate relationship with GM, right? So, and pretty much all big companies, factories, employers have some sort of healthcare insurance system. And if you can show that their clients and or employees will be less of a burden on their insurance overhead, they are looking for people to offload that cost. Because as a couple 100-person employer, like your insurance cost is fucking pretty outrageous, depending on how you have it set up. So in our case, basically, our client gets reimbursed through state insurance, aka Medicaid. So then it's like, okay, well, it's all public information. So go in and look like how much of an hour counseling is reimbursed through Medicaid per person. So now, granted, those are all licensed clinicians or therapists, but I mean, it's like $200-300 per person per hour is what they are billing Medicaid.
So Dale, would it be fair if I, so now because now I see all the owners like in their brains, they're like, this makes sense. Is it an email? Then do I get a big list of, call it treatment centers first for addiction, rehab, whatever it is in the local area? And I say, I mean, would you argue that this is incorrect? I have the best fitness methodology that will probably cost you half, and I can do it in half the time.
I would say before you cold email or cold call, poll your members. So probably odds are Timmy or Jane works in an addiction treatment center. There's a possibility of it, right? And you don't have to sell them on it. They're already bought in because they're a member at your gym. So that just goes back to like knowing who's in your gym and developing that relationship with that person. So Jill, can you shut that door, please? Thank you. So what you can do is so that's step one, leverage the relationships within your gym and say, hey, Jane, I know you're in HR at ABC treatment facility. I would love to get in front of the executive team and let them know, I'd love to develop a relationship with them. Because it's not it's the same old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, typically that gets you in the door for the first time. And then what you do is say, hey guys, my name's, just like you said, Andrew, hey, my name's Dale. I'm from PSKC CrossFit. CrossFit is the best fitness methodology in the world to get people healthy. And it's been proven with scientific research that it works tremendously within the recovery community. And I can send you guys a study that was literally just fucking published 2 months ago that documented what we do here and the success on that. And along with dozens of different media articles saying the success rate of that. And then load them all with that information and say, I'd love for you and the executive team to come to my gym for a trial workout. And then you just expose them to what their clients and staff would be going through in a typical workout. Or you just fucking say, I'll give you a free week, some case a free month. Who fucking cares? Give all that shit away for free in the beginning if it's going to nab you that long-term relationship down the road. Go ahead, Andrew.
So second, do you recommend, because sometimes I've had a couple corporate accounts before, did them terribly. Wish I would have done exactly what you said. They did last for a little bit though. And I brought them into my gym. And maybe it was by accident, but you went outside the gym first, because if I try to bring in all these people in the gym, on-ramping them, the cluster F, my existing members, my classes, so you actually are trying to move out first, correct?
Yeah. As much as, so there's 2 ways to do it. Do it at their facility or do it at your place. It's significantly much more expensive for you to do it at your place. And just because we all know the majority of folks, there's a time, from morning to noon or from noon to your evening classes that the gym sits pretty empty. And that's fine. You want to utilize that time as much as possible. But I'd rather go to your place, do it there, and leave so I could have trainers who want to maybe do personal training or something during that time. If I have the choice, I want to do it at their location, assuming it's relatively close.
Recap, step one is get in front of the execs, bring them to your gym, sell them, give it for free, whatever. Yeah. Step 2, go back to them and be like, I can bring this to you.
Or just say, hey, I'll come to your place and give you that free trial workout. Yeah. You just got to be able to read the room. It's whatever's going to work for them the best. If they have their own space, think about it. It comes down to who your potential client's going to be. you want to be able to market as an employer, you have an on-site wellness. And that fucking on-site wellness might be a parking lot. It doesn't, it really doesn't matter, but people want employees who are engaged and healthy at work. And now that gives them something to talk about and develop teamwork and camaraderie there. So as much as you can, see if you can do it at their facility. Your backup plan is to offer your facility to do it.
Now, how you helped Dustin was a little different.
Yeah. So Dustin from 740, he came to like one of our like early pilot seminars to see what we did here. And then like one of our things that we say is if you're willing to like come and learn from us and pay that money and spend that time, we will then help you set up that business relationship. Because my partner in this seminar, in the seminar side of the business, he's MSW, so he's got his master's of social work, and he's a clinical expert in the addiction treatment field. So like in his real job, like he goes and consults at various facilities across the state, and kind of helps provide subject matter expertise on the clinical side. So like therapy and counseling. So all that means is that motherfucker can speak their language, whereas you can't, or I can't at this moment, right? So he can go in and talk about, okay, well, if you put a peer support specialist and dedicate that person to attend every class, then that becomes an approved expense, and you can bill Medicaid for that and all that stuff. There's different ways to get around it. So in Dustin's case, he came down here, and then he looked at 2 or 3 facilities around his town. And then Max got in contact with one of them. And then actually we went there and kind of helped do the pitch and set that relationship up.
Now he got grant. Did he get grant money?
Yep. So this is the thing. And actually Debbie can help a lot on this stuff because I'm just looking at her right now. So like I said earlier, you got to understand how your client makes money. And in the behavioral health addiction side, even if they're a nonprofit, the majority of it is coming from Medicaid. And all that's saying is like, we're fucking paying for it, is what that means. Like it's a tax funded thing. And I'm going to go down another rabbit hole, but
I like it.
It's tax funded, which means, you know what, motherfuckers, like if I'm paying for it, I know my shit probably works the fucking best. And therefore I don't have a problem quoting you to get compensated highly for that. Right. So, cause a lot of guys are just like, when in the initial stages of developing a contract, they will bottom the ceiling out of that price and offer that as the initial offer to be like, $25 a class. If we can do that, that'd be great. Go high and come down if you need to. Don't go low and then hope it works. And then everybody, when you negotiate contracts, it doesn't matter if a guy's going to cut your lawn, you should negotiate. It's an accepted practice in business to negotiate back and forth. So
I want to add in on that. Biggest corruptions in the world. Everyone's got their own personal one and go XYZ. You want to know what the number one is? And no one ever talks about it. Is the fact that taxes are taken out of your paycheck. Now, it doesn't mean all of us do it that way, but I want you to envision something that you make $100,000, but on Friday, you have to go down to Office C where little Christopher says, "Hey, can I have $2,500? And you're like, "No." Well, tell me where this is going to go.
Yeah.
If taxes weren't taken out, the whole country would have pitchforks saying, "Where is my money going?" We've just accepted it. So like what Dale did is like, since I'm paying it anyway, I want to know what my dollars are going for works. And if you have that mentality in sales and trying to talk about it, you now become like more, you just become 6 feet taller because you're like, I already know what's happening here. So I don't care. Yeah. My rate is $2,000 an hour. And they're like, well, that's a bit high. I'm like, I know, but I have the best service in the planet. And I know that it's going to work. It's going to work in half the time and it's going to build camaraderie, all the things that we know about CrossFit. And then you come down. How else, Dale, did you so you got your foot in the door, but I still think a lot of people are curious about their local government's funding, whether it's state, regional, and I know you obviously can't speak to all that, but like, where do some owners look to go find this money?
Well, so I think the best way to answer that is like what's available now versus what is available in the future. It's significant. So as a gym, right, you're not a fucking approved healthcare facility to be able to build Medicaid. Now that is a project that I'm working on to figure that out. There's a place in Arizona that does that. They happen to be a nonprofit, but it's called having a CSA designation. Now, most owners probably don't even want to fucking deal with that, and deal with that. And the reason is that you have to take on all the headache to do that. But if you could be a part of a much larger collective where somebody else does that overhead for you, and you are the point of performance provider, then we're opening up to a much bigger window. It's very similar to how TrueMed works, right? Yeah. TrueMed, their job is to to be the middleman between the two. So if we can create a middleman company between CrossFit gyms and Medicaid, then we've opened up a path for pretty substantial.
Oh, this gets me so excited, man, because people know how excited I am about TrueMed. And guys, TrueMed's not going to stop. The only thing that's going to stop them is someone trying to take them down at the highest.
Yeah, and that's
level.
Yes.
But it doesn't make sense. All of us eventually are going to be able to use our HSA money for anything. And if you don't have, like, personally, I have an HSA, then I use it as a Roth 401k. I don't even use it for medical expenses. It's too good of a product. And the government kind of knows that. So they're like, no, you can do whatever you want.
Yep.
Eventually, hopefully. But are you making this a course kind of where you're going to do more? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah. We're gonna be working with somebody hopefully who can help us. Like, it's just really two fucking hillbillies from Southern Ohio putting this together. So we need somebody to help us with the tech and architecture on the back end.
You're not a hillbilly anymore. You're
an Appalachian American. Sorry.
No, you're a producer. You're an interrupter in the space in the best way possible. You're not a hillbilly. I'm sorry. I used to be a straight ball player from Flint too. And my wife tells me I'm no longer that. I'm like, I got 4 basketballs tattooed on me. Yes, I am. But so you're suggesting, like, what you can leave from this call today is, first, check your community. But second, if you're afraid to do the reach out, I'm not asking you to give this away for free or anything, but do you have any, like, templated emails that you are somewhat successful in? Hey, I do a quick Google search and I found this treatment center, that treatment center. Like,
look, I have all that shit. It's all right here. So
perfect. I saw it all.
Send me. I'll send this to you, Andrew, and just send a fucking copy to everybody on the call. It's our manual. I'd rather you guys have it, look at it, and then if you can deploy it on your own, great. If not, you can reach back out and we can figure it out from there. I just look at this as like the same. Like, you can get the CrossFit Level 1 manual for free too. So there's no sense that it will fucking save people's life. So I'm not going to hold that behind a paywall. I will hold my time behind a paywall. So that's the difference, right?
Nice.
But yeah, so there's a whole, actually, I'll speed read it real fast just so you can see if it would be worth it for you. But it's a cold call, it's a cold email. And it's already written out. You just can copy and paste it. But the trick is to find the right partner to begin with. Okay. So when you're going to Google addiction treatment center near me, behavioral health center near me, and then you're like, you pop up the top 3 or whatever. You not all of them are created equal. There are fucking snakes in the industry. Like that's just a thing. So I'd say like the top certification is what's called CARF. So any facility that's CARF certified is one to do good business with, because they basically open up their books, they ensure they get audited. There are standards of care for that. So you want to work with the best one. Once you find that one, send them a cold email, which I'm going to send to you guys. Oh, here we go. I'm going to speed read it real fast if that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, my name's ABC. I'm the owner of ABC CrossFit. I'd love the opportunity to discuss a relationship-based, I'm stealing this from Debbie, by the way. I'd love the opportunity to discuss a relationship-based whole health wellness program at your facility. As you know, substance use disorder recovery is a process necessitating a holistic approach with continued individual growth and improvement through an inclusion and maintenance of physical well-being and social support system. All those words are, you're just fucking talking their language. That's all that shit is, right? CrossFit classes are led by a certified instructor, and all participants engage in the same workout in a small group setting. These workouts create a common bond amongst clients and staff, develop community and accountability through the overcoming of physical obstacles in the form of workouts. This program promotes both physiological and psychological health for the clients by having them engage, blah, 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 blah. And then you kick them with a little, I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you, explain more at the end. So that's all in there. And then you can attach different scientific research, because everything now is like evidence-based. Everything's got to be evidence-based for that to help out. So that's just a little example of a cold email. So that would be option 2. Like option 1, we've leveraged our community. Option 2, we're going to send a cold email out there and hope to land that.
Do you mind sharing? You don't have to. You probably will though, because now I put you on the spot. How much? What's the revenue? Not from any business side. What's the revenue you personally have coming in just on what you've done with centers, or I guess count the prison too, but like,
yeah, well north of 6 figures gross.
6 figures gross.
Yeah. Now that's a part of, so you got to figure out, which sounds cool and it's fucking great. Don't get me wrong. And I love that. But when you develop, this is how you don't want to fuck yourself. When you develop the flat rate number, like, cause you're not going to do that class as the owner.
No.
Right. Even if you were, you want to pay yourself for doing that. So you need to develop that number with how much you're going to pay your trainer, how much any overhead is involved, and how much profit margin you want as the gym.
You have a split for, do you have, because I instantly hear that and I go, why would I not pay a trainer half? Because I have no overhead.
Yeah. Well, you're always going to have overhead, because now you're going to have to do billing. Now you're going to have to do like collection of who did what class when. So there's always will be overhead. Like we're very fortunate that we have a full-time lady here who's also a coach that does that for us. So her, salary is factored into that a little bit. So there will always be overhead. So yeah, I think, look, you want to pay the trainer as much as possible, but not at the expense of your own business. So if it's at their facility, 50% is a good number. I know, like, what's his face always has the 4/9 model, which is like right around 40-ish%, I think, something like that.
45.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, I kind of want to give them as much as I can, because the more compensated they are, the better job they'll do, the longer that contract will last, and the less turnover you're going to have to do that. So keep that in mind when you factor that number. Like, it's not what you would pay yourself to go down there and do it. It's what you would pay somebody else who'd be willing to take that on to do that.
They'll poke holes in this. because this is how I did it similar. And mine was with a real estate company agent,
Mhm.
big, So I said, I negotiated high, said, you owe me $1,000 a month,
Mhm.
and then I will let all of your employees, you had about 45 or 55, they can come in at 50% of, they can come in at 50% membership. So like 60, I think at the time it was like $67 a month. Went well in the beginning. He said, no, I'll do it for 500. And who am I? I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And because and they fell off. I had a hard time getting the other agents to keep consistent. And then they're like, I'm not gonna pay for this. I'm not coming.
Mhm.
Smart, dumb, what would you have done different if they want to come to you, if it's a smaller facility, or even because you can put this stuff to any company. I mean, it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be an addiction center. It's just what the in person, like, because what do you say?
So here's what I think is I won't say the best way, but here's another way to we do that as well. Like we've gone through that offering X amount of discount for their employees to come at our place. I would say I would take that same $1,000 and say I'm making shit up, but it's $10 a visit per employee. Because some people won't do it. Some people are going to come 5 times a week. So essentially, you're giving them 100 visits to your gym, and it doesn't necessarily need to be you in a month. Like it might take 5 or 6 weeks to do that. But you want to incentivize the people who would come and come often versus just like the people who they're having a hard time retaining because they're not really paying it themselves. So there's really no kind of value into it. So I kind of like a flat rate per visit when I'm dealing with employees coming to my spot.
Still charge the business or facility the flat monthly though. Negotiate
Yeah.
that.
Or it could be like I'm going to give you 100 visits. If that's up in 3 weeks, you got to renew another bank of 100 visits.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Because then, you're going to have a good portion of that, like 20. I mean, whatever the percentage is, like the hardcore people will chew through that pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You still would they be coming on your off hours? Sound like Andrew, you were letting them into your regular classes at that discount, or did
I
you
was, and it went really good in the beginning because of that flat fee. I was like, I added no extra class, no extra coaching, no extra anything. But
But Dale, you do it in outside regular class time, so
Yeah. So ours is
you can have different programming. You don't have to have your regular.
yeah,
membership.
and that's the other thing is like we can go down a programming rabbit hole if you want to, but and that's another reason you can charge a higher price is because it's only their people coming. Right? Because especially when you work in the substance use disorder community, like I'm just going to say the non-clinical version, they got a fucked up upbringing that led them to the place where they are in life, and working out with strangers and or normies could do as much negativity as it could positive.
I
So,
didn't even think about that. That's for sure.
yeah. So in our case, and I know that's how Debbie and Matt do it too. It's just like, all right, well, it's going to be more expensive because I'm giving you a private facility during a private time and no one else is going to be there.
All right, guys. Well, I got Dale, he's super busy. Do you guys have any rapid fire questions? He's not on Spotlight, so feel free to poke him in the chat and I'll ask. Or, sorry, we got a couple. What kind of numbers did this generate compared to your gym alone? Chris.
I mean, put it this way, it got a little scary because it was starting to rival what I consider our membership-based business.
Started to rival, should I just shut my gym down and just do this?
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, like, let me just go on that tangent. It's great to get these contracts, and it's like, don't fucking start spending money like a drunken sailor, because as fast as they go, or as fast as they come, they can go fast. And now you've staffed up, and your trainers are making good money, and everything's going great. But then you start caring about that more potentially than you do your membership-based business, and then you become a fragile enterprise, right? So if this is like, most gyms have one, it's like their membership-based revenue, and that's all they have. Well, I want to keep this going. I want to add this one over here, and I want to put as many pillars underneath my gym that I can to keep it stable in case one line of business goes up or down.
I recommend that all the time.
Was based on like, if your gym is generating X amount of dollars a month, was the reason for expanding this just for extra income, or was to supplement what was going on in the gym, or was it just kind of like, hey, this is a good idea, let's go do it? My biggest problem is finding the time to do things like these. We've got 3 or 4 of them that we do, but based on the gym revenue versus the time to go outside the gym, what's the ratio that you had going on there?
I was at a fortunate spot. This is the other thing. Everything that I do seems cool from the outside, from a fucking 60-second reel on Instagram, but you're not seeing fucking 13 years of shit to get there, right? So I fucked up my business every possible way from like 0 to 5 years in the game, and finally unfucked that enough to where I had the time and energy to go do other things. So I did that first. As far as how it happened or why it happened, is because I wanted to help. I did not see this as a big source of revenue. As a matter of fact, like the first month we took a pretty low rate just to prove that it worked. And then I said, after 30 days, if this works, then we'll bump it up to the rate that I want. But it just depends on what you want to do. Like, as the owner, you can only handle so much stuff. So by that point, I had basically a GM, and her sole job was to take care of the membership-based business, which would allow me to go do other contracts and other stuff.
Chris, I don't know how many times you've been on this. Glad to have you. I recommend, and I am for you when it comes to, I hate that you don't get paid what you deserve. I hate it. It keeps me up. Whatever, take your gym and label the most annoying things that you hate the absolute most, that suck your soul, your time, your energy. Put a dollar value to it, and immediately go to a coach that you love, and you're like, I'm going to somehow create you a job. Would you do my scheduling of coaches and classes for $200 a month? Or just like make up a number. And before you know it, that's how I got to where I'm at. I coach 2 classes a week, 4 right now because my wife's super pregnant. But that's all I do. I don't do anything else. And I take the 6 a.m. class. If something terrible goes, I step in, but that won't happen for 6 months at a time. So that's what Dale just said, essentially. Like, he was at a spot where when he started this, he wasn't feeling pressure for the revenue, because he's like, I'm not soul sucked from just my affiliate. So if you can off some of that, if you're feeling that weight, by all means, I highly recommend doing it immediately. It's tough though, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not either. I don't coach any classes. My job basically is business development from here on out after the last 20 years of doing this.
Yeah.
My question, I think, is I'm trying to figure out, going outside of our gym has never been super profitable for us. We've always tried to bring people in, but I haven't gotten involved in municipalities too much. I do in my other businesses, and they have their pitfalls and their politics and all that stuff. So just weighing the options of, like 450 members that we currently have, and everybody that we have coming in, we don't have empty spots in the schedule. So now I'm trying to figure out how much I could charge. In my head, I'm trying to reconcile how much I could charge to go outside of the building.
Yeah, it might not be worth it.
I'm just rolling
Yeah.
in my head.
Well, see, and that's the good thing is, you're in a good spot to do that. And that's, we have a little part in this seminar that talks about, okay, well, how do you develop your hourly rate? Well, Chris, if at your gym, like you got 10 hours a day that you're doing classes, and every single class is giving you, I'm just making a number up, but it's giving you $200 in net revenue, well then fuck, your rate's going to be automatically $250, because why would you give up a $200 hour to bring people in that either costs the same or the less? You know what I'm saying? But you got to know, first thing is look at all your classes and know on average, like if 10 people are in your class or whatever your average class size is, how much revenue is that bringing to you? And then minimally, you want to take that number and probably add a little bit more, and then that's what your contracted rate should be.
Nice. Rob, I'll answer that question. He brought no equipment in the beginning. He did shuttle sprints and air squats, but like things like ab mats, slam balls, that would be the only thing eventually going. Anything you can fit in probably a van or an SUV, and medicine balls, things like that, and do partner stuff with it, because he was not taking a ton of equipment.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like that's not your fucking job. That's their job to provide the equipment.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is where we're at with the two prisons that I work with, is they love the program so much. I'm like, okay, well, fork over some money now for equipment for the guys.
Yeah.
I'm not hauling shit in my truck 3 times a week to bring it there.
Not when you're trying to get a 300-pound power clean. You're not. You don't want to do any extra work, Dale. You don't want to get any fitter on accident. Lazy fuck. So some of this call's technically 40. I mean, we have the full hour, but if people start to drop, I understand. But so anyone else, rapid fire for Dale on anything while we have him, and it's great because he had an hour in his brain, so that's on him.
Did you check with insurance to make sure you were covered? I think the RRG covers us anywhere we are, but some insurance you might need to run that by.
Yep. That's a great point. Or like, do you fall under the insurance at the facility where you're going to be? Like, yeah, you definitely need to figure that out. For us, we fall under where we're actually performing the work as a contractor to them.
Anyone else got anything? I think the next thing is that there's a few things that CrossFit has done, few things that have been ripped off. This makes us so mad, right? Like, I don't love hearing Nicole Carroll talk about this because it's sad, but like I like when she gets fired up talking about it. There's some things we can do. Guess who can't bring treadmills, rowers, and dumb boxes and fancy lights to a prison? Insert. They can't do that. They're not mobile, and they don't have the education to do it. You can put on a headset, you can do a script, you can do whatever. The thing about CrossFit trainers, after doing 100 plus L2s, we're adaptable because you're talented. You can get in front of 17 people and, like an artist, look at a room. Oh, there's a wall over there. Okay, I can go back and forth. I can go whatever. And that's the magic behind the CrossFit methodology and the CrossFit trainer that others don't have. I know I figured that out with 24-hour access. I was like, I bet insert XYZ ain't going to be open for 24-hour access. Let me try this. And that's why it worked for me, but that's not going to work for everyone. I was like, yeah, I can be moldable and adaptable there. Like, we can be moldable and adaptable, and we have a better methodology where others can't. Do you think that's true, Dale?
Yeah, 100%. Like, also, this program doesn't work if you suck as a trainer. I mean, that's how it goes. Like, you got, if you're new to the game, like, don't start looking at how you can grab other stuff if your own house isn't in order first. Because now you're talking about, you're going to deal with people in the worst possible conditions of their life, physiologically and psychologically. You're going to have zero equipment. And as this program goes on, this is something we didn't even touch into, but like, we have to deal with people who've been in the program for 6 months and then people who've been in there for 6 days. And we have to be able to adapt and get them together and working towards the same thing. We don't get the privilege of an on-ramp program or anything like that. So you need to have some time under your belt and be a master at your craft in order to do this and like make them feel like it's the best thing to do. That's the cool part about it is not knocking on my normal members, but I get gratitude and thank yous every time I go to these classes. Like, hey, dude, thank you for coming in here and doing this for us. Like, no one else really kind of gives a shit, and they love it because it's their only time to physically express themselves and work through stuff. So there's a big point of impact you can have in other people's lives, and you should be compensated for that. You're on mute, Andrew. Sorry.
Dang it. That never happens. That was a good clickbait. I might get that to get people to watch on YouTube, because that's so well said. And I know you're a crier, so it's like you probably go into these and cry all the time. I love it. You know, dude, you should be compensated for doing amazing things. And it's funny how the people in the prison probably, I mean, it is their best hour of their day, or I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. And then like this is the only time they're allowed to run. So it's just like, hey, I know it's fucking 40 degrees outside, but you guys want to go outside? Well, I'm going outside with you, and we're gonna run around the yard here, because if that's the only time you're allowed to run and that's what you really like doing, we're doing 4 rounds of running around the block and some push-ups and some burpees and something else. And it's like we're going after the people. CrossFit's great, and like obviously that's why we're all here. But we all know there's barriers of entry to that. Like is you got to be able to afford it, and that's, I'm not saying that's not the case, but like we got to look at like, okay, well, what other mechanisms are in place? Grant funds, Medicaid, partnerships, that I can go take this and then go get people who society has left behind, and that's the people that need it the most.
Love it, dude. Anything else? All right. Dale, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, Andrew. Then feel free to give a copy of it to everybody.
Okay, just the people that were on this call. I'm not going to throw it to
Yeah.
Even because typically we have, the good news about this call is at least I've touched 30% of the region of them seeing it, but not everyone hops. I don't expect everyone to hop on every Tuesday, but
Sure.
we get some value. So it's only people on this one today, and I'll make sure of that.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Good
All
seeing
right,
you guys.
see you, brother.
Best of luck.